have some Halloween crafting. I've added feathers to some jean shorts, but I keep on seeing feathers in Pinterest and on Instagram, Amazon, anywhere you can find feathers, but typically they're the little thin feathers that you know you're gonna wear once or wash once and half of the feathers are gonna go missing, or they're just crazy expensive, like $200 for a feathery top, so might as well buy our own feathers off of Amazon. I have got two different new ones, and then these little bit of purple is left over from the shorts that I made, so I will link that video below if you are interested in adding some feathers to denim. But I got both of these off Amazon. It's a good amount of feather, as you can see, just keeps going on and on, for $14. There's little feather fluffs all over, and these are nice. What you're looking for when you're buying feathers is that it is nice and full, so read the reviews, and if there aren't any reviews, I honestly wouldn't bother unless you're just going to order a bunch and you plan on returning a chunk, because most of the time if it has a bad review, it's like the little scraggly feather, just not worth your time. You're going to have to buy 3 times as many feathers to cover the fabric and make it look good. And then you also are going to want this ribbon on the top for either if you are sewing it on to be extra secure, or gluing it just as that little base so it actually adheres to the fabric regardless of what you are doing, unless you're just like pinning it on or something that's very much going to be just a one-time wear for a few hours, then you don't have to worry about that, but just to be safe. And then I got from the same brand also black feathers. And then this little shrug here is also from Amazon. Not sure if I like it. It's on the model supposed to sit like this, but once you start moving, it kind of just has a mind of its own, and it's obviously not very warm as it's just always kind of coming off of your arms, so don't mind the sweater. But we have two different things that I was thinking of adding feathers to. So the first one is these super cute pumpkin overalls that I was gifted along with some other colored overalls. I got little pumpkin bows with bats on them, but they are big on me, so this will be a second whole project because I'm going to need to fully like sew or cut out a chunk. I don't know how I'm going to do that. I'm not going to be using a sewing machine, but I was thinking of either cutting this into a like overall dress and then just sewing it right where the legs are, or adding feathers to the bottom of the legs, making it a little shorter so it doesn't just like drag on the ground, and then maybe adding some feathers up at the top where the pockets are or on the straps. We'll see. So that is just a little too rigid of a fabric for me to just cut into. I'll need to do some research. But as for an easy thing that anybody could make Halloween wise is get an old or just like extra t-shirt, thrift a shirt, and you can make a feather dress. So that is what I'm doing. I have this orange silky button up top, and it's kind of got a little puffed bell sleeve here. I got this at some sort of sample sale in New York. Might have been at Ann Taylor when they have like all the other brands as well. Don't know, but either way, I've had this shirt. I've only worn it like once, but it is big on me, so not the appropriate dress length, where even if I wore booty shorts, it definitely could kind of show a little too much. But if I add a good amount of feathers, it'll make it a good dress length, even if it is kind of like a mini dress. I've done some looks of men's shirts, just get a men's tall shirt so it's a little bit longer and you can wear that as a dress. But again, I guess it just depends on how tall you are for all of these specs of what you want to use. But you could of course also add this to like a corset top or a crop top, just like a feather bra, or even like a dress. So there are just so many things that we can add feathers too. The nice thing about this is I don't have to cut anything. I'm just going to be adding the feathers onto the bottom, versus when I did this to the jean shorts, I had to cut off the extra jean short. So I guess also just choose of how crafty you are going to get, because obviously if you cut one side, you want the other side to be even. So you might want to have somebody else there to kind of gauge, eyeball it with you, or have an actual measuring tape or ruler just to make sure that you are doing it correctly. So step one, get your idea, go on Pinterest, look around what you have or what your significant other has that you could just steal, or even some old costume that you could get crafty with for Halloween, and then get your feathers. I did do a good amount of research trying to find other feathers, but it just seems like the best deal on Amazon if you're looking for a larger amount versus going to a craft store like Michael's or Joann Fabrics. And then as for adding it on there, you can obviously sew it. I do not have a sewing machine. I do know how to sew, but I just don't want to sit there for over an hour slowly sewing. But obviously if you want the more permanent option, by all means. I don't think I'm going to be putting this through the washing machine, although some glues may be strong enough to do that. So couple options of glue. This is obviously much more temporary, a hot glue gun. I'm just worried that it's gonna dry and then peel right off, so not gonna be using this, but it would be good for like glue on spiders or gemstones or something. Or if you, I actually have an old like bedazzler that people would add to like denim items, could use that. There's obviously like Gorilla Glue and other super glues. I found this one at Hobby Lobby. It's called Contact Cement, and it's just like a super glue. And it says that it works on tile, rubber, wood, metal, formica, plastics, and more. So it's more so industrial based for like around the house gluing, but it sounds like it's a good glue because it can work with all of those different kind of surfaces. And this also was only $1.99 at Hobby Lobby. Be careful on Amazon, so many glues, like this would be like $9 or $10 on Amazon. So if you can, go to a hardware store or Hobby Lobby or something different than even like a Walmart or a Target might also be more expensive. You don't want to spend like $10 on glue. I also have used this in the past. I got a new one because the other one glued itself shut with the cap. But this is just industrial strength adhesive, the E600, and the nice thing about this one is that it is clear. So another thing to look out for if it's drying white or clear, because that could make, even if you do it perfectly, could just make it look a little gross. And then this one says it works for creating. So I guess that's multiple options. It's just telling you the temperatures, depending on materials and temperature, maximum strength may not be reached for up to 3 days. So I guess also how fast do you need this to dry? And then this is what I use for the jean shorts. It's actual fabric glue, which I do recommend, and this also dried strong and it dried clear. So it also says that it works on leather, which would be nice for like denim or other kind of thicker fabrics. And then you can also apparently wash it, but I don't know, the feathers just would not look cute. I've washed some Shein items with feathers and they lost most of the feathers in the washer, and I did air dry them instead of drying them because that would probably leave all of the feathers. And like these things, most likely you're just not going to want to dry clean. So there's many options across the board. I mean, you could literally use a stapler, like a paper stapler, or if you have an industrial stapler. So I guess just be careful you don't poke yourself, and you could obviously safety pin it, etc. But I think we're going to use this again. The only thing with some of these glues is that they smell really, really bad. So if you're in a small enclosed space, or if you're doing this in your bedroom or a dorm room, maybe make sure first that you have a different drying location for your item, because you just don't want to inhale all of those glue fumes as they teach us in elementary school. And then also another just little crafting idea, this is iron-on paper. So I do have some designer dupe patches of like a Gigi or a Chanel in like Cuba that I was maybe going to also put onto the overalls. So if you do find a cool little patch or something that you could iron on, or even iron on adhesive for the feathers or whatever you're adding, that's just another easy option. I'm sure most people have an iron or could find one. So just another little contact thing, the paper for that. So aside from your item and your glue, the only other supplies that I recommend is just like a surface to do the gluing on, and possibly a fan if you're trying to speed up the drying process. So I've got this extra cardboard box. It's not very big, but I'm just going to kind of overlap the fabric on there. And then just also, if there's a little bit of excess, I'm just going to use the bags that the feathers came in. Another easy thing would just be to lay out some garbage bags, or if you do have a big box, to just break it down, and then you have like your whole crafting surface, because I would hate for you to glue this down straight to your floor, or even worse, the carpet, because that's a lot harder to scrape right off from there. So let's get to crafting. Alright, I ended up just putting down a garbage bag in case, since it was taking up a little more than what I thought it would, and I checked the cap to make sure it would come off of the fabric glue. So I've decided to do black on the bottom, and then on the little ties at the top, I'm going to add just a little bit of orange feathers up here. So the first thing I just did was unbutton the shirt so I can just easily go through the whole length of it. And then I already know that I'll have enough feathers from pre-measuring it out, but just make sure you have enough to do what you're planning on. And then I'm just going to use this for when I glue it, and then when I'm done, just set it kind of down further by the garbage bag. And then all you need is a scissors to cut it. So step one, we are going to add the glue, and I'm going to add it kind of towards the middle to start, and I'll just do one long line. I also have this little thingy to kind of, oh no, just got all over my fingers, to kind of like swirl it around if that's needed. We'll see. So next up, just grabbing the feathers, and I'm just going to place it down on top of the glue. And then I'll also just use this. You can feel it kind of like seep through, and this is the look that I like, where you can't see the seam, but you could go above it if you're going to add something else, or if that's just the look that you are going for. So I'm basically just going to continue to do that, and just the main thing is to try and stay even within my glue line. And it feels really secure even though I just did that one little baby amount. And then I just had this spilled over there. Well, it was on the garbage bag, but it kind of spilled on top of the other feathers, so make sure, you are putting this back in a good spot. And then also just trying not to get it to crinkle, and that the fabric stays straight. And it already kind of feels like it's drying. So one bottle of glue is definitely enough for multiple projects. And if you were any bit nervous about the glue, you could definitely wear rubber gloves to kind of give that extra layer of protection. So this method is also really nice because I'm just gonna have to do one cut of the feathers at the very end. Ooh, now the glue's coming out kind of more chunky. Alright, we're down to our last little corner. And this stuff does dry really quick, so even though like right there I got a little extra, not the end of the world. Alright, then just a simple little snip. It's looking pretty good, pretty secure. So now while that's drying, we're gonna do the little ties. Alright, so I think I'm just gonna go across. Ooh, now it's getting like stringy. Alright, and then I'm gonna just kind of like pre-measure this before I put it on. Okay, since I'm done after this, I don't know where I put the cap. It does kind of like ooze out still. Oh, I should probably like wipe it off so it doesn't get stuck. I just finished gluing and it's still very secure. This is the first edge that I did, and it doesn't feel wet or anything, but I'm still gonna let it dry for a while, just a few hours, and go and check on it. But at least with just the tiny little bit of glue that we needed to go straight across, I don't think something like this, if you wanted to wear it the same day, it wouldn't necessarily need to dry overnight. And then this is looking really good, even, and then from the inside you can see it's on there. And then for the front, we've got our little feathers up here for the ties, and I'm kind of now wanting to also add some to the bottom of the sleeve. Maybe do one orange and one black, or I could just do black. Or is that too pumpkin-y? Okay, I'm gonna do one arm orange and one arm black. Just the same process. So we won't need to watch that again, but I'm just gonna make sure I put it on the inner layer, and then I'm going to just leave it buttoned so that I know that it still can be buttoned and that the feathers don't get in the way. So once this is dried, I'll do like a little just hanging showcase of it, and then we'll do a little try on to test. Here is a final look at the finished product of the Halloween feather dress. We got the opposite color patterns for the feathers for the tie, and then for the main part, the feathers on the bottom. So right after gluing this together, literally 2 minutes after, I put this on a hanger and put it in the car, drove about 25 minutes to go take pictures with it. I will pop up some pictures and videos on the side, but the glue stayed intact. The feathers are still all here, and I didn't have any issues. It's still perfectly fine. I just obviously have not tried to put this through the washing machine, so I'll also link down below that glue I used because it dries super fast and it was super efficient and did not smell or get on anything in the car or my skin or anything. So very happy with how it turned out. The only thing is that it's still a little short. Position this so you can see it a little better. But I did wear it with just tall black boots, as you can see it from the pictures on the side. But another cute fall option would be some loafers, kind of giving me like a 1960s, 1970s vibe with the dress. Just some classic loafers. These are from the brand Valoria. So we'll do a little look with these. And then I forgot to bring, because I was just in such a rush gluing this like 2 minutes before leaving, I forgot to bring my headband. But I was thinking that this could have also looked cute as like a little headband look to give it even more of an old school vibe. Oh, I put the shoes on the wrong feet. But if not, like a little bow, or if you did want to wear like some Halloween earrings, like the cute little bauble bar ones, or put your hair back with like a little bow in the back, would be super cute as well. Dark and spooky outside. Overall, this is super easy to do. I'm definitely going to also be adding feathers to the overalls and anything else I can think of, or just save it for another season as I did with those jean short feathers. But I highly recommend you guys crafting as well, and you don't even need to know how to sew. Find something on Pinterest, or even for your dog, for your kids, like those cute little Real Housewives, the super feathery dog sweater. Just anything that you could think of, add it to shoes, headband, earrings. So many options with the feathers. But thank you so much for watching and staying until the end. I hope I've inspired you to get those creative thoughts going and make something yourself with the feathers. Follow me on Instagram and TikTok to see the final little videos of this look and more to come.